the strength to accept reality. Welcome to Iron Mind, Stoicism in Action, the channel where we explore the teachings of the great philosophers and apply them to our daily lives. Today we'll discuss an undeniable truth. Reality does not bend to our desires. We must learn to live with it. The illusion of control, a trap of the mind. Since ancient times, humans have tried to control their environment, to shape the world according to their wishes and expectations. However, one of the greatest sources of suffering comes precisely from that need for control. We fight against the inevitable, get frustrated when things don't go our way, and waste massive amounts of energy trying to change what was never in our hands. The Stoics understood this dilemma over 2,000 years ago. Epictetus, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, thought that there are two kinds of things in life, those that depend on us and those that don't. His message is clear. The key to inner peace is not to control the uncontrollable, but to focus our attention and effort on what is within our power. But what does this mean in everyday life? Let's look at some examples. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor who let go of control. A classic example of this principle is Marcus Aurelius, emperor of Rome and perhaps the most stoic ruler in history. During his reign, he faced some of the most devastating crises: endless wars, one of the worst plagues to hit the Roman Empire, and constant betrayal within his own court. Yet despite all of this, he never lost control of his mind. He knew history would unfold with or without his approval, and instead of resisting the inevitable, he chose to focus his energy on the only thing he could control: his attitude, his character, and his decisions. In his work, Meditations, he wrote one of the most powerful Stoic phrases: "If something external afflicts you, it is not that thing which troubles you, but your judgment of it." This is the core of Stoic philosophy. It's not reality that makes us suffer, but our interpretation of it. If we accept that we can't control everything, we free ourselves from anxiety and can direct our will to what is truly in our hands. The illusion of control in modern life. We might think this principle only applied to ancient emperors and philosophers, but that's far from the truth. The illusion of control is still present in our daily lives in many forms. Human relationships. We often try to change people, make them behave how we think they should, but the truth is we can't control others, only our reaction to them. Accepting this saves us from arguments, resentment, and unnecessary frustration. Financial uncertainty. Some believe they can control the market or global economy through small decisions, but in reality, much larger forces are at play: international politics, economic crises, and government decisions. Instead of obsessing over what we can't predict, the Stoics advise us to focus on what we can control: saving, learning new skills, and adapting intelligently to change. Health and time. No one can stop time or guarantee perfect health forever. We can eat well, exercise, and take care of ourselves, but there's always an element of chance. Living in fear of the uncontrollable only robs us of peace in the present. How to apply this principle in our lives? The key to freeing ourselves from the illusion of control lies in remembering one simple rule: distinguish what we can control from what we can't. Accept with serenity what is beyond our hands. Focus our efforts on improving what we can influence. If we stop resisting the inevitable and start acting on what we can change, we'll discover a powerful secret. True freedom doesn't come from absolute control, but from wise acceptance. How many times have you worried about something beyond your control? How would your life change if you applied the Stoic teaching, the impermanence of all things, the wisdom of accepting change? Nothing in this world is eternal. Not success, not failure, not joy, not sadness, not even ourselves. Everything is in constant transformation. Yet in our daily lives, we cling to the illusion of permanence. We want good moments to last forever and for hardships to disappear instantly. But reality is different. Everything is temporary. The Stoic emperor philosopher Marcus Aurelius reflected deeply on this. In Meditations, he wrote, "Observe how many things have changed, and realize that you too will change." This is not just a passive observation of the world, but an invitation to live more lightly. If everything changes, why hold on with fear or suffering, the anxiety of loss and the illusion of permanence? We cling to things as if they were eternal. We want our relationships, jobs, youth, or achievements to last forever. But when they inevitably change or disappear, we suffer. Ask yourself, do you suffer over something you lost? Are you afraid of losing what you have? If the answer is yes, remember, nothing is permanent, and resisting this truth only creates pain. Even the hardest moments in life, those that seem endless, will eventually pass. Time doesn't stop, not for pleasure nor for pain. What torments you today may one day become just a memory. This thought, far from being depressing, is liberating. It means we can let go of fear and live with greater gratitude. The Buddhist concept of anicca, everything changes. Buddhism also addresses impermanence through the concept of anicca. According to this teaching, life is a constant flow of transformation. Think of the worries you had 10 years ago. Are they still important today? Probably not. The same will happen with many of your current worries. What seems like a crisis now will become just a story someday. Detachment doesn't mean indifference. It means understanding that clinging desperately to what is destined to change only causes unnecessary suffering. Impermanence reflected in nature. The idea that everything changes is reflected in every part of the universe. Just look at nature. The seasons teach us that nothing is permanent. Winter may feel endless, but spring always comes. The ocean is never still. Each wave rises and falls, but the sea remains in constant motion. Even the mountains, which seem immutable, change over time, eroded by wind and water. If the natural world embraces change as part of existence, why do we resist it? Accepting impermanence to live better, understanding and accepting the transitory nature of all things offers us great benefits. Less fear. If we know everything passes, we can face problems with greater calm. More gratitude. We value what we have without taking it for granted. Greater resilience. We learn to adapt and let go of what no longer belongs to us. The key lies in focusing on the present moment. If change is inevitable, the only real thing is now. When we stop clinging to the illusion of permanence, we learn to flow with life instead of fighting against it. How does the idea of impermanence affect you? Self-imposed suffering. The trap of our mind. Much of human suffering doesn't come from what happens to us, but from how we interpret events. It's not the fact itself that destroys us, it's our reaction to it. The philosopher Seneca expressed it brilliantly. We suffer more in our imagination than in reality. If we analyze our daily lives, we'll see that many of our fears never materialize. We worry about problems that haven't happened, relive past mistakes as if we could change them, and mentally punish ourselves for no reason. How many times have you worried about something that never happened? How many nights have you lost sleep thinking of the worst only for nothing serious to occur? Self-imposed suffering is an unnecessary burden, but we can learn to release it. Negative visualization, facing fear before it arrives. The Stoics had a powerful technique to combat mental suffering: negative visualization. Instead of running from fear, they faced it in their minds. For example, if someone feared losing their job, they didn't avoid the thought. On the contrary, they imagined exactly how that scenario would unfold. If I lose my job, what will I do? How can I move forward? What are my options? The goal of this exercise wasn't to obsess over the negative, but to train the mind to accept the inevitable and be prepared. Fear thrives in uncertainty. When we visualize it, we turn it into a manageable problem, something we can prepare for instead of fear. The Stoics knew that rational anticipation of the worst makes us emotionally stronger. Mental rumination, a vicious cycle of pain. Another factor that fuels self-imposed suffering is mental rumination. We get stuck in repetitive thoughts. We relive past mistakes. If only I had done this differently. We imagine future failures. What if everything goes wrong? What will I do? This type of thinking isn't just useless. It drains us emotionally. What good is reliving the past if we can't change it? Why worry about an uncertain future instead of acting in the present? The Stoic solution: living in the here and now. The Stoics had a simple yet powerful strategy to avoid rumination. Focus on what you can do in the present. What can I do now to improve my situation? Instead of wasting time on harmful thoughts, their energy went into action. Example: if you made a mistake at work, instead of regretting it for hours, think, what can I do today to fix it or learn from it? If you're worried about something that hasn't happened, ask yourself, how can I better prepare right now to face it? The key is to direct your attention to the present and what you can control. Conclusion: the mind can be our worst enemy or our greatest ally. Self-imposed suffering isn't an inevitable fate. It's a mental habit we can change. Learn to recognize when your mind is causing unnecessary pain. Use negative visualization to prepare instead of being paralyzed by fear. Stop ruminating on the past or future. Focus on what you can do now. As Epictetus said, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. The next time your mind tries to trap you in negative thoughts, remember, the power to let go and move forward is within you. The approval of others is a trap. Free yourself from their judgment. Living in constant search of others' approval is a form of emotional slavery. We become prisoners of others' opinions, adjusting our actions to meet their expectations. But what's the point of living by external judgment if we lose ourselves in the process? Stoicism teaches that virtue is the only path. Acting correctly doesn't mean acting to please. It means being true to our principles. Epictetus made it clear, if you seek to please everyone, you will never be free. If your self-esteem depends on others' validation, you're trapped in an endless struggle. The reality is, you will never please everyone. No matter how hard you try, someone will always criticize you. Why give them power over your happiness? History shows that following your own path is the right choice. The people who changed the world never sought to please the majority. They remained true to their ideals. Socrates, one of the greatest philosophers in history, was sentenced to death for his ideas. He could have saved his life if he pretended to be someone he wasn't, but he chose truth over appeasement, and his legacy endures to this day. Galileo Galilei challenged the belief of his time by stating that the earth revolved around the sun. He was censored, persecuted, and forced to retract, but the truth he defended was eventually accepted by the world. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, had to rule an empire in crisis, facing constant criticism and betrayal. Yet he never let others' opinions divert him from his purpose. If these great thinkers had sought approval from others, the world today would be very different. The false validation of social media today. Social media has amplified the trap of seeking external approval. People feel pressured to present a perfect image. The number of likes and followers has become a form of self-worth. Many live under the stress of fitting into an unrealistic standard. But at the end of the day, that external validation is fleeting. What truly matters is not how others see you, but how you see yourself. Are you living according to your values? Are your decisions bringing you closer to the life you truly want? If the answer is yes, then external opinions shouldn't disturb your inner peace. The Stoic key, freedom, lies in not depending on others' judgment. The only validation that truly matters is your own. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, "If you are troubled by others' opinions, it's because you give them more power than they deserve." The secret to freeing yourself from external approval is simple yet powerful. Act with integrity, not to please. Be clear about your values and live by them. Don't worry about what you can't control. Others' opinions. Remember that people constantly change their opinions. If they criticize you today, they may applaud you tomorrow. But if you betray yourself to fit in, you will live with regret. Live by your purpose, not by others' expectations. Because at the end of the day, only you know if you've been true to your principles. Death is part of life. Memento mori and the key to a full life. For centuries, philosophers have reflected on death. Not as a tragic end, but as a reminder that life is fleeting. In Stoicism, this idea is captured in the phrase memento mori, which means, remember you will die. It's not an invitation to fear, but a call to action. If death is inevitable, then each day we live is a gift, an opportunity not to be wasted on unnecessary worries, trivialities, or postponing what truly matters. The Stoic reflection on death. Stoics saw contemplating death as a tool for living better. Seneca warned, while we postpone life, it passes us by. Marcus Aurelius in Meditations reminds us that our existence is brief, and wasting time on vanities or useless conflict is foolishness. Death isn't the enemy. The real enemy is living in fear, with regret, or waiting endlessly for a perfect moment that never arrives. Epictetus said it clearly. It's not death we should fear, but never beginning to live. How to apply memento mori in daily life. Reflecting on death doesn't mean becoming somber or depressed. On the contrary, it's an exercise in clarity and focus. Here are a few practical ways to apply it. Reassess your priorities. Ask yourself, if I had only 1 year left, what would I do today? This simple question can help eliminate distractions and guide you to what truly matters. Stop postponing what's important. Many people wait for the right time to change careers, start a project, or express love. The truth is, the right time is now. Free yourself from fear of judgment. If we all die eventually, why live in the shadow of others' approval? Live according to your values, not their expectations. Practice gratitude. Each sunrise is a gift. Appreciating small things, a conversation, a meal, a walk, helps us live more fully. Death as motivation for a meaningful life. Death, instead of being viewed as tragedy, can be the ultimate push to live with purpose. Those who understand life's brevity let go of unnecessary resentment, seek knowledge, cherish experiences, and build a legacy. We don't know how much time we have, but we can decide how we want to live the time we do. And that, perhaps, is memento mori's greatest lesson. Life isn't measured in years, but in how we live it. If you found this reflection valuable, subscribe to Iron Mind, Stoicism in Action, and continue exploring the power of Stoic thinking in modern life. See you in the next reflection.